Konkona ma'am, welcome to Desimartini. My name is Mahima. It's an honor to meet you even virtually.
Hi, Mahima. Thanks for having me on Desimartini.
Okay, so jumping right into the questions, I watched the trailer of Mumbai Diaries 2611 and it gave me goosebumps, especially the last sequence where you're hiding from the terrorists. So let's hear about the series from you and how is it different from anything made on this topic before?
Well, I think it's a very different perspective because, a hospital is supposed to be a safe space. And here it's really flipped on its head, where it becomes a hospital under siege. So it was a very interesting, unusual perspective. I think films have been made on 2611, but I don't think we've ever really seen it from the perspective of, the medical community. So we've not really seen it from, from a government hospital point of view. So in our show, I think that the 2611 is the backdrop of the show, and it has been fictionalized. But the show is centered and based in a government hospital, Bombay General Hospital in Mumbai, where you have people, we're concentrating on the lives of the doctors, the nurses, the ward boys, the administrative staff, the patients in that hospital. Plus, of course, once these events start unfolding, you have the police officers who come in, the media who's trying to cover the story. It's all based, it's happening in real time, events unfolding, casualties coming in, terrorists coming in. So it's a very fast-paced thriller, I would say. And I think it's the first medical drama that we've seen here. I mean, we don't have too many medical dramas here. And actually, I would say it's a medical thriller in the way that it unfolds.
Okay, so tell us about your character. By the looks of the trailer, you're playing the role of a doctor.
So she's not exactly a doctor. I'm playing Chitra Das, and she's the social services director in this government hospital. She has a medical background. She's not a doctor, but in times of crisis, everybody's going out of their way to help others in need. So that does happen to a certain extent. Chitra Das is somebody who is she's somebody who's plagued with self-doubt. She's also dealing with her own emotional past. She has her own journey, which we see glimpses of in this season, and hopefully more in coming seasons. And this is something that we've also realized post-COVID or whatever, because of the pandemic, that we don't really appreciate our frontline workers enough. Even for me, though we all know about 2611 and what happened and everything, for first time I'm seeing it from the point of view of the doctors and nurses, I would say for us, it's really a tribute to the frontline workers, because we are seeing the doctors are not gods. They also need that infrastructure. They need that support system, to be able to perform and, to save lives. They are not trained for these kind of circumstances, they're trained to save lives. So it is a very unusual perspective, I think, for me, because these are doctors, nurses, the hospital staff who are dealing with their own life, dealing with, working in a government hospital, which is not always ideal circumstances, and then having to deal with this kind of an event, unfolding. So it's quite a tense and dramatic show, I think.
Ma'am, you mentioned that your character is in self-doubt and has her own emotional baggage along with all the big crisis that's happening around her at the moment. But in the trailer, I mean, it really doesn't show, because your character seems to be the most calm character. Like the way you're even telling the resident that you don't know, but you can do it, you're capable of doing it. I really want to know, is that who you are in real life also, like at the time of a crisis?
I would like to think so, yeah. I think so. Small things can sometimes, bother me or stress me out, but I think if larger things happen, I mean, I don't know, one has never lived through this kind of thing of being, in a hospital when something like this happens. But sometimes when larger things happen, I can become suddenly quite detached. Also, you see the season, it's not like the terrorists or everything is happening right in episode 1, no? So you're seeing them over 8 episodes. And I think it's only mid-season that the terrorists come to the hospital. So, there is a gradual kind of a build-up in terms of the dramatic events.
Okay, so we'll get to learn a lot about your character when the show finally premieres on 9 September. So it must have been very challenging for you emotionally, mentally, the whole backstory of the character, all the emotions, all the expressions. How did you prepare for this character?
I was very lucky that I had a fantastic script. Nikhil and his team had done a lot of research. And because I knew him from before, I had some faith in his sensibilities. I knew that he would depict these events with a certain respect, with a certain dignity. Um, a lot of the research they had done, they shared with us. We also did a lot of discussions, script readings, table readings with everybody. I think one area that we all needed a lot of help with was the medical front, because all of us are actors, but none of us are doctors. So we did a medical workshop, a very thorough medical workshop with Dr. Sheikh, who was one of the doctors who was present at that time on ground. And we all, whether you're an established actor, whether you're an up and coming talent, we all had to learn how to do sutures. We all had to learn how to, handle all the equipment and the medical jargon and all that, which was something new and really fun. It was a great fun icebreaker, and we all learned a lot and were able to bond, I think, over that.
Okay, great. So, ma'am, this series takes us back to that horrible night of the terrorist attacks in Mumbai in 2008. I really have to ask you, where were you when it actually happened? And how did you learn about it?
I was out of town. Me and a group of my friends, we had driven out of Mumbai, I think, to celebrate a birthday, and it was we were slowly getting the news. So in the beginning, actually, we didn't really have a handle on it, because it's something which, it was not a one-off incident, right? It was like multiple locations. Then you're finding about something, then you're finding out about something else, and it went on over 3 days. It went on over 3 days. So as a result, we also were so unsure. We were so confused, and it was terrifying because we didn't know. I mean, is it safe in Mumbai? Is it over finally? Do we have a handle on it? Are our friends and family in Mumbai safe? So it was a very difficult time for everybody. I think we drove back after a few days, but even when we came back, there was there was at that time, a stillness in the air. There was a very uncomfortable kind of an uneasy silence, and like a heaviness in the air, because everybody, I think, was united in their shock and disbelief and grief that something like this could have happened in Mumbai.
So, ma'am, your co-actor Tina Desai had also spoken about this, that even till now, till date, she cannot stand on Marine Drive without thinking about the incident, without being a little cautious. Are there any thoughts or memories that come rushing back to you? I mean, that came rushing back to you while you were shooting?
It did bring back some memories. Like even now, when I go to the Taj hotel, even now I always think, where were they? Where had they come? And even when everything is completely normal and seems ordinary, but you can just imagine, how it must have been for them at that time. Or if you go to Leopold's, and they have preserved that glass where the bullet has shattered the glass. And I remember going to Leopold's, I think maybe a few months or something, or a year after the event, and seeing that, and talking to some of the staff over there. So that really did bring back those memories.
Just hearing you talk about it has given me goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we have all been through together. As Mumbaikars, as Indians, of course, but can't imagine, even though we shot it, how much more difficult it must have been for the frontline workers, of those guys who were actually there, who had no choice, and they had to just deal with it regardless of whether they have a dying parent at home or a child at home, or whatever they may have been personally going through. And it's given us a newfound respect and appreciation for first responders, and this series is also a tribute to them and their courage.
So even though the series is like a fictional take on whatever happened at that time, with the frontline workers, we are getting a peek into their minds, whatever they were going through at that time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Exactly. We are getting to see what their lives were like before. I mean, very soon. I mean, when the series opens, they have no idea what's going to happen, and then very quickly they start getting this news, and that everything starts changing in the hospital. So we do see it from their perspective entirely.
Okay, so now that we've spoken about the incident and about the series, I have one question for you about the actor that you are, all the roles that you've done, and even now this one that you're doing in Mumbai Diaries 2611. Then there was Dolly or Kitty or Wo Chamakte Sitare, and then Ajeeb Dastan. All the characters you've played have been very different from each other. While some are vulnerable, some may be very strong, some are a little confusing, I mean, in their own way. It's just that the only similarity between all of these characters is that you fit into them so perfectly, like you get into the skin of the character, and when we see you in it, we cannot think of any other actor portraying that role with such perfection. So how do you choose these
Thank you.
characters?
These characters have chosen me. What to say? I've been lucky enough that their makers have entrusted me with these roles. And honestly, I feel very lucky that, even so late in my career, of late, I've been getting some interesting roles that, like the ones you mentioned. There were unusual depiction of, a mother and a wife in Dolly Kitty. Or I've never played anybody from the LGBTQ community before with such a specific cast location. I mean, I really hope that more and more roles are written like this, and we get to show women in all their complexity and all their diversity.
Okay, so now before I take your leave, I have just one more question for you. We will be watching Mumbai Diaries 2611 when it premieres on Amazon Prime Video on 9th September. But
Yeah.
I really need to know, what is Konkona ma'am watching at the moment on OTT?
Oh, I really don't get the time to watch too much. I have to say, my consumption rate is very low. Of late, I would say I have watched. I watched, that White Lotus, which is a show on another platform, and I loved it very much. Very unusual, interesting show. I really enjoyed watching Mayor of Easttown as well. I love Kate Winslet. That was also a very well made show.
Great. So thank you so much for this lovely chat. And I have to tell you before I leave, you look amazing in white. It is so your color.
Thank you so much. It's a lovely, beautiful Anavela sari, which I don't even think you can really see.
But I mean, as much as I can see, you're looking beautiful in it. Like I said, it's definitely your color.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All the very best for Mumbai Diaries 2611.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.